welcome viewers. I am Pia and you're watching NewsX. We're tracking some crucial breaking developments at the top of this hour. From the international arena, Ukraine has carried out one of the largest drone attacks on Russia, targeting its military air bases. Now, reports indicate that the coordinated drone attacks hit 41 Russian aircraft. Reports also suggest that nearly 34% of Russia's strategic cruise missiles and related infrastructure have been hit. Damages are estimated at $7 billion US. Targets have included the Tu-95, the Tu-22 strategic bomber as well, and an A-50 radar detection Indian command aircraft. The dramatic Ukrainian strike has come just a week after Russia carried out its largest aerial bombardment of the war, firing 367 missiles and drones at Ukrainian cities. My colleague Aditya Vadwan with us to share more details with regards to this. Aditya, what we've seen over the last 24 hours is a dramatic escalation of the Russia-Ukraine war. What's been transpiring over the last month or so is that we've seen efforts by the Trump administration in the US in particular in order to broker peace, in order to broker a ceasefire deals. We've been seeing that talks that had taken place earlier in Turkey did not yield the desired result that the US was looking towards, and only a prisoner swap deal was finally inked, following which Russia launched its own missiles against Kyiv, in which 13 people had tragically lost their lives. Now, this attack has taken place. What can we expect can happen next? How do you think Russia will respond to this?
Well, PFCC, there is a pattern to this. Whenever the drone attack from the Ukrainian side happens, then it is most probably the Russia retaliates. But at this juncture, in this particular drone attack, several of the military assets of the Russian army have been destroyed, and the Russian Defense Ministry has called this as an act of terrorism by Kyiv. So, at this juncture, Russia will definitely retaliate to this massive drone attack by Ukraine because, the successive attempts, the repeated attempts by the US President Donald Trump in this regard to, declare a ceasefire between both the sides has so far, proved ineffective. There have been several rounds of talks between both the sides brokered by the United States. But however, things haven't worked out because, both the Russian side and Ukraine, there are trust deficit issues between the Russian and the Ukrainian side because, last time also, when the meeting took place in Qatar and Saudi, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had clearly said that, he does not trust Vladimir Putin, and, he has been, and he said that, that Putin does not want peace, he wants war. So, at this juncture, this situation involving the Russia-Ukraine war is becoming complex day by day, and even now the United States is showing its frustration because, sometime back we saw Donald Trump's reaction, and where he has said that Vladimir Putin has gone crazy. So, at this juncture, it is very likely that Russia will now retaliate to this Ukrainian drone strike. Yes, Pia.
Indeed, stay on with us. We're tracking more development. Fresh revelations are coming to light. Aditya, we're getting to know that the Ukrainian drones, which carried the explosives that were used to destroy Russian military infrastructure, were in fact sneakily smuggled into Russia by hiding them inside wooden structures, which were then loaded onto trucks. And these trucks had made their way to the perimeter of the targeted air bases, and when they reached their destination, the roofs of the wooden structures were then opened remotely, following which the drones took off and initiated the attacks. That's not all. There were also some visuals that were circulating on social media showcasing that the trucks, after the strikes, went up in flames themselves.
Well, absolutely. Pia, if you see, this situation, these trucks were, were sent to this target locations in a very secretive manner. This, as per some reports, there could be some intelligence from the Western European countries, to the Ukraine, because, pushing these trucks loaded with drones to the target area is not possible without accurate intelligence. So, at this juncture, nothing can be ruled out. And, this was a very carefully planned operation executed by the Ukrainian secret agencies and the Ukrainian secret agencies. So now, it is questionable, how Russia's investigative agencies and, spy agencies are considered to be top. But how could this happen, when they are on alert, and how could these trucks, carry on, cross into the Russian border? So this is something which needs to be seen. However, it is very likely now that Russia will massively retaliate with cruise missiles or airstrikes, because the pattern suggests, in the past, if you see, the pattern also suggests that, Russia has done the same in the past also. So now it needs to be seen, how the Ukrainian response and
Yes.
the Russian response would be to this. Yes, Priya.
Indeed, Aditya, stay on with us. I'm also, meanwhile, being joined by Major Mohammad Ali Shah. He's a defense expert. Sir, good morning and thank you for speaking to NewsX. Of course, we're tracking these updates that are trickling in currently from Ukraine. At this point, we're learning that Russia has been struck by Ukrainian drones. And these drones were in fact used to strike targets as deep as 4,300 kilometers. Yes, sir, you're audible. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, I hear you.
Indeed, sir. So
but please rest on. I keep calling up repeating it because that's the time I'm using mobile for the light and thinking that
Indeed. So what I was referring to is this attack that has taken place on military infrastructure in Russia. Ukraine has struck targets as deep as 4,300 kilometers in the eastern region of Russia as well. The drones that were used were sneakily smuggled into Russia via trucks. They were hidden in wooden crates and were then released to hit these targets. Now, reports are suggesting that the losses that have been suffered by the Russian military have amounted to $7 billion US. So what is your very first reaction to this particular Operation Spider Web, as Zelensky has dubbed it? We are also learning that it took about 18 months to plan this. Do you think it was just Ukraine, or is there a hidden hand? Is NATO's hand at play here?
he folds his hands and rests for mercy, and the drone shifts the target. Drones, and there's a viral video, and it's there on YouTube, it's there everywhere, everyone has seen that. Because Russians and the Ukrainians both are right now very vicious, and there's a lot of towards each other, and there is a lot of animosity amongst them at the moment. So both, none of them are willing to spare wherever they get a chance. So most certainly when an attack like this, earlier Ukraine was on the defensive. So we were saying that, okay, we were anticipating perhaps Russia will finish this war in 4 days. There's no match to Ukraine. But in an elephant and an ant fight, if the ant enters an elephant's trunk, it can be indeed be very, very painful and very, very lethal there. So I think in this case, a similar thing has happened. So Ukraine, which was on the defensive earlier, is now on the offensive. And more than a year back, there was an attack with a drone on President Zelensky's house on his rooftop at the flag post. Because drone attacks are very, very precise. The precision is such, they target exactly where it's to be meant by the dot. They're that precise. They've got their way of navigation. So most certainly now Ukraine, which had accused Russia for mass graves and for targeting their civilians and such things, now which has come on the offensive, and I would see it as it is a calamity for humanity, in fact. We are in good terms with both the countries. Both Russia and Ukraine are our friends. We would not want destruction of humanity and human lives lost and loss of property and such things. So most certainly, I think it's about time. It's been over 3 years now that Russia, Ukraine have been at loggerheads. They've been at war. I think it's about time that both the nations have to come together. Both the presidents, President Zelensky and President Putin, have to come together on a table and they got to talk. And I think America can be a very good mediator on this because it is Donald is warming up to President Putin, in fact, because America perceives not Russia as a threat, but as China threat. So the biggest enemy for America is not Russia, it is China. So America can open the channel of communication, the gates of communication, the gates of peace for Russia and Ukraine over there, Priya.
Indeed, sir. Stay on with us. We are learning more information. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has now issued a statement on the drone attack. It's been dubbed Operation Spider Web. He has labelled it as a brilliant operation and has further stated that the preparation took over a year and a half. In total, 117 drones were used in the operation, with a corresponding number of drone operators involved. As I mentioned earlier, 34% of the strategic cruise missiles carriers stationed at Russian air bases were hit. This is what Zelensky has had to claim. Major Shah still with us on the broadcast. Sir, we're seeing a new sort of warfare. Initially, when the war had struck, we'd seen, in fact, the soldiers going to the front lines and battling it out. But we've also seen over the years the increased use of drones. What do you make of this shift from the trenches to tech?
Yes, it's a very good question and a very, very pertinent question today regarding modern warfare. You know, modern warfare now, it's no more as when a soldier could do 100 push-ups or run 10 miles. It is more of tech, more of the brain-oriented.
All right, sir. It seems that we've lost your connection for a bit. Kindly stay on with us. This is, of course, Zelensky's latest statement. I'd like to point to the visuals, meanwhile, on our screens. You can see currently the visuals that Major Shah was earlier referring to. Those are visuals that these drones have taken and that some Ukrainian sources have shared. These are now circulating on social media. You can see these drones are approaching the bombers. You can also see smoke billowing from a bomber that has already been targeted, and here you have it. You see a drone approach one of the Russian bombers. It in fact hovers over it for a while. We're learning that it used AI technology in order to target specific areas of these bombers, particularly the fuel tanks. They've done it in a way so that these bombers cannot be repaired. So, of course, it's taken months of meticulous planning. Major Shah is back with us. You can continue your point.
So most certainly, so the shift from being physically fit. It is important for a soldier to be physically fit, but it's mental agility and it's about technology. Nowadays, the modern warfare is all about air attacks. That involves drones, in fact. So the Air Force or the Army Air Defense or the Naval Air Defense, they are crucial players in this because we have manpower in any force, in anywhere in the country. We have manpower in the forces, but ultimately we see touch the sky with glory. I mean, the Air Force. Air Force means not just Vayu Sena, not just Air Force, but the weaponry we have regarding the air. For example, the air. We saw earlier we used to have the Bofors guns and the artillery. We still have them. We have the armored core, the tank. The battles, the wars were fought on bravery and on how the long range. But now in India itself, we fired long range missiles to Pakistan. In fact, there was a lot of speculation, a lot of news about what weapon it could be. Our Air Marshal in the press briefing said, I will not tell you what weapon it was we had used.
So we've lost a connection once again. I will come back to you, but meanwhile we're getting some updates from Russia. Russia's defense ministry has issued a statement following Ukraine's largest drone attack. The statement reads that the Kyiv regime carried out a terrorist attack using FPV drones against airfields in Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan and Amur regions. They have stated that all terrorist attacks were repelled at military airfields in Ivanovo, Ryazan and Amur regions. Meanwhile, in Murmansk and Irkutsk regions, as a result of FPV drones launched from an area in close proximity to the airfields, several aircrafts caught fire. You can see those visuals on our screens. The fire was under and there were in fact no casualties amongst military and civilian personnel. This is something that Russia's defense ministry has highlighted and emphasized. Now, some participants of the terror attacks were detained, is what Russia's defense ministry has to say. It's of course the latest statement that Russia has put out. Remember, there are of course bid by the Donald Trump administration in order to broker peace. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry has categorically come out and slammed this particular attack. Russia's defense ministry has stated that this is a terrorist attack that was carried out by FPV drones against airfields. They've named the airfields. These airfields were in Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan and the Amur regions. This is of course the latest that we are tracking. Major Shah still with us on the broadcast, sir. I've just read out the statement that has been put forth by the Russian defense ministry. They've labeled it a terrorist attack. But of course, what's interesting is the manner in which this was carried out, the manner in which these trucks were smuggled in thousands of kilometers. What lessons do you think India can draw as far as repelling such attacks are concerned?
Well, first thing is, when we in India, if I draw a parallel to first taking back to 7th of October, 2 years back, 2023. In fact, the attack by Hamas in Israel, there were a lot of lessons to be drawn over there as well. And unfortunately, a similar kind of an attack inspired by that took place in Pelgam on 22nd of April this year, last month. So there was a lot of lesson to be taken from that as well, and not a lesson from this. So this is a wake-up call for everyone that anything can be possible. Security does not mean sitting in your trenches with a soldier, not having sleepless nights, keeping guard. Alertness in the sense that we have to be very well prepared in any way possible, because especially so, an aerial attack is it's very dangerous. An aerial attack is indeed very dangerous, much more dangerous than a land attack or a sea attack, because even if you move an army on ground, what if someone comes and attacks you from top, from the air? It can happen anywhere. It can happen in the most peaceful city. It can happen in the capital of any country. So yes, the lessons learned over here is our air defense system should be very strong, which it is. We proved with our S-400, we proved every single projectile by Pakistan. We had intercepted them. We had sent it back. So in India, yes, so the lessons drawn is regarding security does not mean only being alert. Security means also we have got to be prepared to stop any attack, any eventuality here.
All right, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking our time speaking to NewsX this morning. Of course, sharing your perspective on all of these developments. Meanwhile, viewers, more breaking news coming in. We're learning that Russia and Ukrainian officials are due to sit down in Istanbul for their second round of direct talks since the war broke out in 2022. But the two sides are still far apart on how to end the war, and the fighting is in fact stepping up. US President Donald Trump has demanded Russia and Ukraine to make peace, but so far they have not. Remember, last time around there was merely a prisoner swap deal that was inked, that was followed by Russian strikes against Kyiv, where ballistic missiles such as the Iskander were launched. Now, of course, Ukraine has carried out the largest drone attack within Russia, targeting 5 key air bases and destroying, as per reports, 41 of their aircraft. So the question that still looms large is what next? As far as the peace talks are concerned, my colleague Brian Anthony Thomas with us on the broadcast. Brian, the buzz was prior to these peace talks, and we can see the visuals of the Russian delegation arriving in Istanbul. The buzz was that the Russian delegation would be carrying a memorandum. This is what they had made very clear to the administration in the United States, but they would not reveal what is there in the memorandum to any third party, and that they would only discuss what they would propose with Ukrainian officials directly. So what can we expect as far as this meeting is concerned, Brian?
Well, clearly, Russia-Ukraine resume peace talks in Istanbul after major Ukrainian strike, and now the negotiators are meeting for the first time since Kyiv hit Russian strategic bombers, and both Russian and Ukrainian delegations have arrived in Istanbul for fresh talks amid renewed international pressure and following one of Ukraine's most daring airstrikes deep inside Russian territory. Clearly, also the meeting is taking place at the historic Shiragan Palace on the Bosphorus also, and clearly Ukrainian president also outlined priorities ahead of Istanbul talks. Zelensky also demanded a full unconditional ceasefire, the release of prisoners, and also the return of abducted Ukrainian children. And also he renewed calls for a direct meeting with Vladimir Putin, who, though Moscow has rejected the idea for now. Clearly also, Russia is also to present peace memorandum, like you very much mentioned at the peace Istanbul talks. Moscow resisted pre-sharing demands. Ukraine demands halt in fighting, and Russia's delegation led by Putin is also expected to, Putin, Vladimir Medinsky also is expected to present a memorandum of peace terms. And Ukraine has also already ruled out any key Russian demands like territorial concessions, NATO inclusions, calling them a part of neo-imperialist agenda. Clearly also, Ukraine says that 40 strategic bombers damaged in drone-led special operation. And just hours before the peace talks, we covered that Ukraine revealed a special operation that struck 40 Russian bombers, causing an estimated $7 billion damage itself. And now Western powers are also expected to coordinate closely with Ukraine team. Diplomatic advisors from Germany, Britain, and France are also present in Istanbul, coordinating closely with the Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, who is leading Kyiv's team, and the involvement also underscores Europe's growing concerns over the war toll. Clearly also, Russia even pushes northeast, Ukraine calls for Western security guarantees. While diplomats are meeting, Russia continues its offensive in northwestern Ukraine, strikes in Kharkiv in the 6, including many such people, and even Kyiv also insisted any peace framework must include Western-backed security guarantee. Yes.
All right, Brian, with that, I would like to thank you for joining us on the broadcast, sharing all those updates. Meanwhile, viewers, we're shifting focus back to what is transpiring within India as far as the resurgence in COVID-19 cases are concerned. Active infections have risen to 3,961 as of today. This marks a significant increase from just 257 active cases reported on the 22nd of May, indicating a more than 15-fold surge under 2 weeks. In the past 24 hours alone, 203 new cases have been recorded, and Kerala remains the worst hit state, reporting 1,435 active cases, including 35 fresh cases in the last day. The nationwide COVID-19 death toll has now risen to 32, with 4 deaths reported in the past 24 hours. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has advised vigilance without panic, as the healthcare system remains equipped to handle the current situation. My colleague Asavri Jindal with us on the broadcast to share the latest details. Asavri, what are you tracking as far as this surge in COVID cases is concerned?
Right, absolutely, Pia. At this point of time, as per details that have been put out by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, there are a total of active cases. There are at 3,961. When we talk about the number of patients that have been discharged, across India, the number stands at 2,188. The symptoms, we're told, are very mild. ICMR has ensured the fact that one does not need to panic but be cautious, and by that what they say is try to reduce your outings to places that are of course with people. That's of course a big thing that's coming in, to maintain common hygiene, washing your hands, wearing a mask when you're out in the public. So again, those are the kind of just preemptives that doctors are talking about at this point of time. But some of the symptoms that I want our viewers to know about as far as the new variant is concerned: if you feel like you have a persistent cough, a sore throat, fatigue, headache, loss of appetite, gastro issues, blurred vision, nausea or dizziness, or difficulty in concentrating, perhaps you may have COVID, but there is no need to panic in such cases. Again, there is an exhaustive list of symptoms that have been put out. So the best thing to do in these kind of situations is to just get yourself tested. It's again better to be safe than to be sorry. But again, there is no need to be alarmed about it. There is no high concern. It's a mild symptom. It's a mild variant. So again, nothing to be worried about, so to speak. Again, when we talk about the number of cases and across India, Kerala, of course, topping the list at this point of time with over 1,300 cases. Maharashtra is also there, right below it, as well as Delhi. Again, those visuals that we have with us at this point of time. But again, nothing to be panicked about is what we're being told again and again and again. And that's something that we want our viewers to register as we continue to cover news with regards to COVID-19. Pia, back to you.
Absolutely. This is something that the ICMR has also reiterated. Thank you, Asavri. I also have with me Dr. Ruchita Sharma. She's a senior consultant at Medanta Hospital in Lucknow. Good morning, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us live on NewsX. We're, of course, tracking the number of active cases, trying to keep the people informed. The ICMR has, in fact, reiterated that there is no cause to hit the panic button at the moment. People need not be alarmed, and they've also stressed that the new variant that has been recorded as far as the COVID-19 cases resurgence is concerned is a subvariant of the Omicron, which is already in fact been seen in India. What can you tell us about this, and what else can you tell our viewers as far as the precautions and what we can do at our own level is concerned?
Yeah, so this is a very nice question, and this is what we all want to know. So as we know, the numbers are rising. There is no, we don't have to panic. Yeah, we should be just be more aware of it. So the symptoms, if we talk about, so these patients are having, the common symptoms as we had before, like sore throat, fever, and some myalgia is there. But this time I can see three special features which is very common. Like the weakness is out of proportion this time. They are coming with a lot of weakness. Not the elderly people are not able to walk, and they are feeling a lot of fatigue, and that is point of concern. Second thing which I am noticing is a lot of diarrhea. Gastroenteritis cases are more. So they are having mild, sore throat. That can be easily ignored. And they think it is just a part of their oral allergic condition. And they ignore it. And they develop this diarrhea, which is really bothersome. And they are getting admitted for diarrhea. And third, of course, which is rare, they are having some cough issue which increases after 10 days or a week after the sore throat thing. So if you are aware about it, and if you develop these features, you can just meet your doctor when while you are in right time. That may save your life, and it will be a better option. For those cases who are having mild symptoms and they are young, there is nothing to worry about. Just take a lot of water, take some rest, some anti-allergic tablets, and you'll be fine. For patients who are having diabetes or they're elderly having comorbidities, I will say you should take care, take rest. And if you find any warning sign, as we discussed, if you feel a lot of weakness, if you feel there's fluctuation in your blood pressure or sugars, if you're having a lot of diarrhea, feeling exhausted, meet your doctor. Get yourself tested. This may be special features of COVID. And for elderly geriatric patient especially, it is important. And how to protect yourself, as we all know, and we learned about the hygiene thing, and the COVID-19 last year, they have already taught us how to make yourself with a lower risk. So take all the precautions like hand washing, using masks. Wherever you are going in public places, you should take care. Hand hygiene is very important. And if you are not vaccinated yet, get yourself vaccinated. If possible, get yourself take the booster dose. And if not vaccinated, get yourself vaccinated. At least I have seen patients in last my OPD. I saw a few patients who were actually not vaccinated, and I was thinking, how can it be possible? For last 3 years, we are having COVID, and they are actually not vaccinated. So just these small steps will save your life.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking out time speaking with us on NewsX. You, of course, have a very busy schedule taking care of patients. With that, viewers, we will, in fact, take a short break. We'll be back with more on the other side with updates from across the country and the world. Stay tuned for more.
अगर आप बनना